Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video on the channel. I'm here once again, me, Nemesis Viper, here to finally bring another Godzilla Save the Earth video to the channel. But today will not be a tier list. Today will be a guide for one of my personal favorite characters in the game, Megaguirus. I decided that it was a very good time to do this, with G-Fest only coming in a couple of months, and I thought if there's anyone who wants to join in on the fun of the tournament and see how they can do, I would be able to help. So, for the most part, the next videos on my channel will be a guide for every single character in the Godzilla Save the Earth lineup until I finish all of them. So this will take some time, so that's why I'm doing it a bit early from G-Fest, because I want to get them all done before G-Fest, just so, again, if anyone wants to do the tournament, they could decide what character they want to play for said tournament. So, yeah, that's why I'm doing the video. I hope that you enjoy it, and let's get started. This is her neutral punch first, and that one is alright. I mean, I don't barely ever use it because it doesn't work well into a neutral, which we'll get to in a minute. But, her punch is decent range, I suppose. Not the best damage, and of course the third hit, whatever you pick, will not be true. So I don't use this very much, but, it is fairly fast, so I'll give it that much. One of her best moves, though, is her forward punch. Long range, leads to combos, which we'll get to in a minute as well, and is just an amazing launcher. It is also a low attack, so keep that in mind. Now we have down punch. Down punch is, well, it's a combo extender. It's slower, not great in the neutral, but it does hit like a truck if you are able to hit it raw. I don't recommend it though, because it is kind of outclassed by forward punch in the neutral, but it is still a decent attack. And of course, finally, we have back punch. Back punch is just a knockdown, allowing for advantageous situations, and of course, on the ground options to start. Not bad, not terrible, but it doesn't lead to any true combos, but it can be useful in some scenarios where your opponent is too close, and you just want a fairly quick knockdown option. Hey, Editing Viper here. I forgot to talk about up punch. Up punch is really just an uppercut, hard knockdown, pretty decent, put your opponent in the air, nothing too crazy. Yeah, just pretty good range, can be alright in neutral even though it is kind of punishable, but yeah, that just wanted to point that out there because I did forget it. My apologies. Not a bad move though, not great though either. Again, it's kind of outclassed by down punch.
Time! Megaguirus is won!
Let's talk about Megaguirus' kicks now. Megaguirus' kicks are interesting to say the least, but some of them are pretty good. Her neutral kick is just her using her wings. You can't do anything really after this. You could try, but nothing is going to be true. This is yeah, it's just like her jab. It's just not very good in like any capacity, in my opinion. Maybe even worse than the jab, because maybe better range, but I don't know. It's just like the jab, and honestly, I wouldn't recommend using it. Her forward kick, on the other hand, is actually pretty good. Not only is it a very good rush attack, it also gives her 1 bar of energy, which is a lot more used in her fierce and grabs, which we'll get to in a minute. It is also good for combo extending and has 2 hitboxes. If you hit in the beginning of the move, or actually can hit twice, it's being a bit finicky, but it does have a chance to hit twice, which will do 16 damage. You'll see it more in the combos later. But if it only hits the 1 hit, which we keep getting here, it will only do 8 damage. Now, her down kick is absolutely useless. Do not use this move. It just spins around, no hitbox, no nothing. It's worthless. Don't use it. Just don't use it. Her back kick is a very strong and powerful uppercut-like move that honestly doesn't lead to much except for a hard knockdown. But again, we already have a way faster one that I showed with back punch, so honestly I would use that more often than not. But this one does have armor, so that is a plus. But honestly, armor doesn't go into Megaguirus' kit as much as others. But I guess I could show off the armor if you really want to see it right here. There you go. Yeah, just to show off the armor a little bit. Yeah, so, sorry about that. Messed up. But anyway, yeah, so that's the armor. It's one of Megaguirus' only armor moves. She doesn't have that many. But admittedly, I just don't see it much worth it, and I don't recommend using it. Now, the next move that I will show off is up kick. Honestly, it's not that great either. She's seeing a pattern with the kicks here, except for forward kick, which is like the only good one in my opinion. It's alright, I guess. You could use it as maybe like a dodge of a lower attack and then swoop in, so... But I think there's a move that does that a little bit better, which I'll get to as well in a minute. But honestly, yeah, I don't use this too much, and it's a little bit outclassed by a fierce attack button. Let's talk about Megaguirus' fierce attacks now. Her fierce attacks are alright for the most part, and there are some decent attacks here. Her neutral one is not one of them. It has no uses or anything like that at all. So, why is that, you may ask? Well, it's just another one of her basic combo things that don't even work. It would be kind of cool if one was mid and one was low, as it kind of seems like it would be, but it's not. As you can see here, they both just hit mid, and one is not low, which is quite unfortunate if you ask me. Now, what about her forward fierce? Her forward fierce is just a random kick, kind of, well, with her tail, I guess you want to count that as kick, that moves her forward. It also can lead up to using her back neutral fierce, which is a true hit combo that goes to a hard knockdown. So not terrible with that one if they're behind you, but honestly the forward kick itself, or forward fierce, sorry, by itself is not very good in my opinion. But yeah, her down fierce on the other hand is probably her worst move. It does have the toe step animation if you hit it, and also gives her 3 energy, which by the way, every single fierce attack of hers gives her a bar of energy, for the record. But its hitbox is very weird, as you can see here, that sometimes it'll hit, sometimes it won't. Take my word for it. Yeah, like that. See, I took the 2-3 hits to start. That's what I'm talking about there. I won't recommend using it. It has terrible range, terrible frame data, just all around a bad move. Now back fierce is, it's alright. It's not great in the neutral, not great for dodging. Its really main option is being Megaguirus' best option to hit opponents on the ground. So, and because it is cancelable by a jump, like a lot of her moves are, which we'll get more into in a minute, it's actually pretty safe to do even when your opponents are on the ground to get that extra 17 damage to any combo you get. So that's really its main use. Now my favorite fierce attack verse is up fierce. And the reason for that is not only does it do a hard knockdown, put you close to the opponent, and do some decent damage, it also is very good at dodging strong attacks. Let me see if I can try to do this with 2 controllers here. So, like so, you could do like that. That will hit her, right? So, you could try and do two controllers, I'm sorry. That's the best I could do. So if you see an opponent trying to do a really strong attack, you can use it to get out of the way and whiff punish them with it, knocking them down and bringing them to a very good position for Megaguirus. That's what I personally like to use it for. And that's her fierce attacks, and I hope that that was fairly useful for that. Let's talk about Megaguirus' neutral. So Megaguirus' neutral is doing one of 2 things. Now, the first is you could be hyper aggressive with forward punch, trying to get that hit, and if it, they shield it, you could always cancel it with a backward jump and being aggressive like that. Or you could try and play with punish, using your quick movement and quick option, like forward punch, to try and attack after they did a very punishable move like that, and then punishing with a forward punch, and then, well, doing your combos. You can also do stuff like this with back punch, as I said, as a counterattack, or you could try and run in and do a down punch with it. Could be a bit more aggressive as well. So it's either being a with punish character or being hyper aggressive. I would say doing a mix so that your opponent doesn't get good at reading you, and also making sure that you mix it up a little bit is basically what I'm trying to get at here. But there is another component to it, which is her spacing. So about the range I'm in right now is pretty good for set spacing. And the reason why this is the good range for it is because think about Godzilla as a character. Godzilla is a brawler. Most characters in the game don't have options that are going to hit at around this range, except for maybe their strong attacks like Godzilla's up punch. Well, that's so punishable and noticeable that I'm just going to be able to read that. But his other moves that maybe aren't as strong or maybe are a better move or quicker just aren't going to be in that range here. But for Megaguirus, well, she has very long range, so she can just do this. So that's how you can kind of do that pretty safely and just, well, basically they're in your threat range, but you are not in theirs, is what I'm trying to get at here. That's why it's good sticking to this range for your neutral, if that includes moving back or forward, depending on what your opponent is doing. That's something to get very good at in this game if you want to play Megaguirus. And it's very important in matchups like Orga, where Orga can just demolish you if you're too close. But it is important in every single matchup. Just wanted to point that as an example. Let's talk about Megaguirus' special ability per se, because that's going to come into a lot of the kit that I mentioned before. Now, every single one of her moves that uses her tail and forward kick, really doesn't use her tail, but does give you a bar, gives you a bar of energy or more, depending on how many you hit. The only one that gives more actually is down. That's just like every single time you stab him in the toe, you will get a bar of energy, but all the rest of them give you one. Now, what do you use that energy for? Well, there are two things. The one is if you don't steal the opponent's beam, which I'll talk about in a minute, you shoot a big orb. Now, that would do 25 damage, as you can see there, and will also knock your opponents down. It's not great, admittedly, but it's alright. Now, the other thing you could do is steal your opponent's beam by doing a jab, or attack, when grab. So that's a grab, which is a punch grab. Sorry. And that will allow you to, while you don't gain any energy, it will steal half of your opponent's energy, which actually is pretty useful. And now you have your beam unlocked. So let's talk about those other grabs, and then we'll show that, because one of the grabs allows you to steal health, and you will gain that health yourself, like a vampire. But the other one will give you energy. So then you can do that to get even more, but there's a better combo that I'll show you in a minute. So, but then once you have enough energy, which is actually 4 bars, you could shoot lasers or beam. Now that won't do as much damage because they are resistant to their own beam a lot of the times, but there is an upside. So let me just get... There is an upside that you might have noticed. If you have it, it will actually take only 75% of the time to charge that initial beam, and it will be that full charge. So you're giving up power for speed.
Megaguirus is one. Winner.
Let's talk about Megaguirus' combos now. So they can be a little bit different depending on what you hit as the second attack, which is going to be down punch. But as I've said, her greatest combo starter more than likely is forward punch. So you can do this, down punch. I got the second hit, so I'll do the forward kick, and then it will get the 2 hits of the forward kick, ending the combo, because there is a 3 hit limit when your opponents are in the air for the combo to end, so there aren't any well, to prevent infinites, but there are infinites in this game by different ways. But Megaguirus doesn't have any, so, well, not really. So, you know, we're not going to talk about that really. Now that is one of the combos you can get here, but down punch is a 2-hit move. So if you mess up the timing, you can actually get the first hit instead of the second hit, which actually will change up the combo. It doing that, but they'll only hit once, so then you could do up fierce. So for first hit, you do the forward kick again, but then you finish it with an up fierce. But then if you get the second hit, which does do more damage, well, with that move anyway, you could just do the forward kick, and then that'll do the 17 damage wasting the other 2 hits. So just depending on which hit you get, which there are ways to change this by timing. You just gotta figure out the timings out. You'll figure it out. But, you know, so you can pick which ones you want there. An upside to the first hit is that it will knock your opponents to be more close to you. But they do about the same damage. So if you want them farther, you could do the other one. If you want them closer, you could do that one. You could do the one with the stronger hit from the down punch. So there's not too much difference, but you know, keeping it in mind on what hit you get is very much key there. So another combo starter is her grab. Now, you can get this combo from both the kick grab and the fierce grab, but you cannot get it from the regular grab that steals your opponent's beam. So just keep that in mind, because that will not combo. But the combo for this is very similar to the other one. It is just grab, and you could do down punch, and it will be the same exact combos as I really just was talking about. So just keep that in mind, as well. Getting grabs with Megaguirus is already beneficial, as you can get energy and health, but then you can also get those pretty good combos. But now it is time to really go into the nitty-gritty of the character. Now it's time to really go into one of the most important parts of Megaguirus' game plan, and that is after your opponent is knocked down. So you're probably thinking, well, what can I do? So a lot of monsters will just do this, maybe try to get one more hit in. I just talked about backfires being good for that, and then, you know, wait for their opponent to get up, and then they just continue playing again in neutral. But Megaguirus, to a good amount of characters in the game, can actually continue her advantage when it's playing. It's very easy to do on the Godzillas because of their get-up attack that I will show right here, because it is a sweep. But because Megaguirus is in the air, well, she doesn't get hit by that. I bet you can see where I'm going with it. So if they're right here and they try to do a get-up attack, oh, they'll miss. I can grab, and then I get a full another combo. But you get the idea. So, but what if they don't? What if they roll? Well, Megaguirus can chase that. They do their get-up, I grab them again. I would be able to do that a little bit quicker, but I am, doing it with 2 controllers, so it's a little bit harder. But you can get the idea. She's so fast that she can chase, those rolls, and then while they're doing their get-up roll, which, trust me, you'll be able to do it. It's just kind of hard to do it with 2 controllers. You'll just be able to get up right there. It's like right when you would move, that's when you can grab them. So it becomes just this thing where, oh, I'm screwed again. I'm going to be grabbed, and then you keep going. It's very easy to do against characters like Godzilla who have the sweep. Other characters like Gears have it as well. So those are some decent matchups for Megaguirus, except the Godzillas have another thing that they have atomic breath, and that is the one thing she is weak to. So it will do a lot of damage. That is one thing about this matchup I just want to bring up, and also just so you know, weakness. But only the Godzillas can do that much damage to her, and that is the one thing about this matchup that is very hard. And we'll get into matchups a little bit more, but I just thought it'd be a good time to point that out. So it's really just keeping in that advantage, making sure to follow your opponent's roll, following them, and then grabbing them right when they get out. Again, it is pretty true. The only thing that would stop Megaguirus is the get-up attack, which I'll show in a minute with another character. But, you know, Godzilla can't do anything about it because Megaguirus does not get hit by that. Even the regular get-up that is armored with that Y, see there, armored for a minute there, actually is still susceptible to grab. So I can do that again. He still gets grabbed. So, honestly, unless the Megaguirus player messes up in matchups like these, there's not much that the Godzilla player, the Gears player can really do to stop it. But let's now talk about what happens and what you do as the Megaguirus player when you fight a monster that has a get-up attack that can hit Megaguirus. And hit Megaguirus. So we could show right here that Orga can hit Megaguirus. Another thing, actually, I'm just mentioning, I'm sorry, this is in the middle of something else, but when you're fighting someone who is heavier, another reason to be farther away, like I was showing before in neutral, is that only the tip or hit will knock them into the air. So I forgot to mention that earlier, just putting that in there, right here. So, but anyway, something to show here is that yes, so that get-up attack will hit Megaguirus. So Orga's is a good example though for what I'm trying to do here, because it is a little bit slower and I need to have a little bit slower because I'm trying to do 2 controls at a time. But it is possible to every single character, but you do have to learn, you know, how fast their get-up attacks are and stuff like that. But for Orga, so what if I just wait that out? So he's going to be there. I use his disadvantage range to attack. So he's stuck in that animation for a while. As you see there, it took him that long to block. But the hitbox actually disappears fairly quickly. So it disappeared right there as the swing ended. And so I can run in and grab it. So let's see that. Okay, that was terrible. Sorry. What to do. But so we could do that. He does that get-up attack. I got it. So just learning, you know, how to defeat them. There's many different ways. Like King Ghidorah, you can actually just air dodge out of the way, but I don't know if I'm doing that with Megaguirus. You know, just trying to bait them out is a whole other thing, but I can't really show that here without another player. But just learning how to bait it out or following their rolls at a distance, it's all good to get that grab and to start another combo string going. I know it is kind of confusing because it is hard to show, but trust me, it works. You just have to learn how to follow your opponent and how to abuse that, and then keep on your advantage going. I would say Megaguirus is the best character in the game at doing this, and one of the reasons why I put her higher up on my tier list. So, just pointing that out there, keep that in mind, and it is a very important part of Megaguirus' gameplay and why she can struggle against, spoiler alert, Mogira and characters like that. Alright, let's talk about Megaguirus' berserk mode. Now, berserk mode you only have once around. It is that little missile looking thingy on the corner there. And the only other way to get another one is if you get an energy, but other than that, you only have one. So this does do something. It makes you a lot faster, right? So that's basically what it does, but it allows for some crazy combos, like her down punch. There's actually a combo starter now. And so you could get some really good combos even off that now. If it wasn't a combo starter before. So, that, just stuff like that. There's a lot of different combos you could pull off this. Honestly, I know this is kind of short, and you may be like, please show me your combos. But I want you to experiment for yourself, because this is basically freestyle mode. Just even using things that might have comboed before, combos, and even using combos started before, like forward punch, still combos. It's all the same, but you can even do more slow moves to combo. It is completely freestyle, so I want you to figure out your own combos for that. Because there are just so many that I will do depending on the situation that it's a lot to bring here, and it is pretty difficult, so I just recommend you learning some on your own. I know that sounds kind of lazy, but trust me, you'll thank me. Just it's totally freestyle, so just work on those. Now the final thing I do want to talk about here, of course, before we get into the matchup chart, is Megaguirus' disadvantage state. Let me tell you, she doesn't have one, basically. So if I'm Morga here, I can flip her up, right? So instead of rolling like other characters, she just gets up and runs up the flag line. That basically means that all that rolling stuff, if you're playing against another Megaguirus or something, they really can't do that against you. So that's pretty good for that. And then of course she does have her get up attack. Now her get up attack is pretty good as well. It does. It's basically just another version of her forward punch. It's just a longer version of that. I'm going to explain that. So, yeah. But it does put your opponents in the air, which you can just get some combos from. Basically, the best way I could explain these combos is you could do that. And so I can get that punch. I can do that again, and then do a little move there. So it's not as good as her other combo starters, but again, you can get a little combo there, so that's pretty nice. Kind of like a King Ghidorah get up attack, there is combo potential. So keep that in mind when you do get hit. Yeah, even her disadvantage stage is one of the best in the game. Now, that's been a lot of strengths, but there is one weakness Megaguirus has, and that is against zoning, because she doesn't have any zoning tools really herself unless she gets a beam or she has her big explosion bomb. So yeah, so like characters again like Megaguirus can really just give her a hard time, or destroy a Space Godzilla, I would say, are two other ones that can be a tad difficult. So yeah, just that's really her one weakness, I would actually say. That's her one weakness that she has. I think other than that, she's just this crazy character that can just do so much here. So let's talk about finally Megaguirus' Rage. So in Rage, just like her Berserk mode, her down punch actually also becomes a combo starter. And it knocks opponents really high in the air this time. So, you can probably guess the crazy combo you could do here with this, yeah, some really crazy stuff. You can actually also add on Berserk to this, just for even more nuttiness. So yeah, but there's that. Of course, finally, first attack. They did not hit there, unfortunately, because I had them on the ground on accident, but it will stun your opponent. And just like, you know, the tasers that Mecha King Ghidorah has, so I apologize for that. But it will hit them, it'll do some 50 about damage, and then it'll stun them, so then you can get your combos in. So that's Rage for you, in case you were wondering. Alright, so we are now going to start the matchup chart of the video. For anyone who has never seen a matchup chart video before, basically this is where I just go over how well I believe Megaguirus does in every matchup in the game. So this will be her best matchups, winning matchups, but not as good as those ones, matchups that are even, pretty self-explanatory, matchups that aren't terrible but aren't winning or even, and then her worst matchups in the entire game. So let's get started with that. I think I'm going to start with her, one of her, I would say her best matchup, and one of her best matchups, and I would say that is Jet Jaguar. So Jet Jaguar is a bad character, and he's so bad, Megaguirus just kind of wins. You know, she can combo him, he can't really combo her back. So it's kind of problematic with that. She also has, of course, her pretty good grab, and that punishes Jet Jaguar when he changes to his different sizes. So you know, she gets a pretty good combo from just punishing Jet Jaguar for him using his special pretty hard. So not much explaining, I think, that needs to be there. But, you know, so yeah, that's why I'm going to have to put Jet Jaguar there. Another one who I think is a great matchup for Megaguirus is Anguirus. So Anguirus is a close range fighter just like Megaguirus is. However, his range is a lot worse than Megaguirus, like his threat range. So Megaguirus can really just punish that. And yeah, so he can get in on her, you know, with his both the click of the triggers and do his roll attack. But, you know, she can just block that, grab him, punish him, keep going. Because, again, in neutral, you're not going to be doing a lot of moves. So, if he gets too anxious, he could just go in, you block it, punish. So, there's just not much Anguirus can really do against Megaguirus. It's not like... It's just not great, especially because of his disadvantage being so bad against her with him having a sweep. So, basically, Megaguirus can just constantly keep grabbing him and defeating him over and over and over again, and yeah, so it's just, that's the main reason why I have to put it here. He just has absolutely nothing that he can do there, with that. Now, Baragon, okay, so Baragon does have a sweep attack, like Anguirus, so Megaguirus can punish him pretty well. However, I think I'm going to put that in plus. Either even or good. So, I think I'm going to put even, though. You know, I'm going to put in bad, actually. And so, the reason why is because even though... No, even. Yeah. So, okay, so it's even because it's pretty bad neutral for Megaguirus. So, Baragon, you know, he has his Flame Breath, and that does a decent amount of damage to Megaguirus. So, it kind of forces Megaguirus to really start approaching and being aggressive, and you know he can punish that. But the moment that he, you know, Megaguirus does, you know, attack, you know, and get that hidden, it can be very hard for Baragon to get away from that. He does have the Flame Breath on the ground that can help a little bit, but yeah, so it kind of evens out there for me to put Baragon even. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good matchup for both of them. Like, it's pretty even there. I just think you have to be careful as Megaguirus. You have to make sure that you definitely have to be aggressive, but you have to do it so that you're not just being punished over and over again by Baragon. And then, of course, his grab actually can really punish Megaguirus as well, being in that range. So you just have to be so aggressive as Megaguirus. But again, what makes it even is that when Megaguirus does get the hit, he has a very bad disadvantage, so she can just keep messing with that to get more grabs and combos, and you get the point there. You know, Destroya. So, Destroya, I'm gonna have to put in terrible. So, Destroya is slow. However, he has two things. Of course, he can use his Horn Katana, which really just destroys a lot of Megaguirus' game plan. But honestly, that's not really it. But it does destroy Megaguirus' game plan because of its range and being, you know, more close to her threat range that she likes to stay in that neutral. But the main problem that, you know, Destroya has is the orbs. So he can just shoot at the orbs. Megaguirus can't do much about it. He can't try and zone him because she has the worst zoning in the game. And it just keeps going on and on and on and on until, you know, Megaguirus just kind of loses. It just destroys a very powerful character. So, you know, keep that in mind, but, you know, it's probably going to be her best matchup in this tier, but it's still pretty bad. So then we have Gigan. Now, Gigan is another character I'm going to put in great. So, you know, Gigan, of course, he has a pretty bad neutral, and Megaguirus really punishes that. He also has very bad damage unless he gets a grab on you, but his grab is very slow, and Megaguirus being a character with really good frame data overall can really just punish that even more than other characters. So he does have some decent range that he can use, but it's just not enough. And of course his teleport, which, you know, is alright against other matchups to make it where, oh, I can't zone you now, because then he can just teleport behind you, doesn't really matter much, because Megaguirus can just, she doesn't use a beam really, so just have to put that there. Now the Godzilla, I think, are the most interesting matchup, and I think I have to put them Again, it's kind of like Baragon, so I'm going to put him in even. And I know this seems kind of dumb. I know it does like half a health bar or something like a quarter of a health bar just to get beamed once. But the moment you hit them, they're dead. As long as you don't mess up, they're dead. So it's really just that fire breath. If they didn't have that zoning capability that just does so much damage to Megaguirus, they would be in like terrible or bad. But because they're just so exploitable in that disadvantaged state, I can't put them in, a negative. Because if you hit them, they die. Simple as that. It's not much to talk about there. King Ghidorah. So I'm gonna put King Ghidorah in. I'm just gonna put him here for now. So King Ghidorah is a pretty good character, for damage, and Megaguirus, she can take a lot of damage, right? So that can be problematic because if King Ghidorah does get in on Megaguirus, she will take a lot of damage. Is basically what I'm trying to get here. I don't know, I said 3 times, but the problem is that King Ghidorah is the slowest character in the game. Megaguirus is one of the fastest. She outranges him. Not outrange him, but they have about the same range, but she can outspace him. She's more safe than him. It's just kind of like... It just is bad. I know that he has some zoning capabilities, and that's what saves him from the great tier of the matchup, but I still think it just has to be winning because Megaguirus can just run circles around King Ghidorah, and yeah, it's just kind of sad there. So Hiru, I'm gonna put him in great as well. So the one thing Hiru has in this matchup is that he can't really be roll readed as much as others just because his get-up attack will push him forward. And that can be a little bit iffy where, so you're not going to get that. However, I don't think Hiru's a very good character. I overrated him in my tier list. The problem with him is almost every single one of his moves is slow. So Megaguirus, again, punish, attack, punish. She can just play the whiff punish game in this matchup so well, and then can just keep on attacking. So while she can't get all those combos as much as she does against other characters, the neutral and everything is just really controlled by her, allowing it to be a pretty good matchup. Megaguirus. Now, Mecha King Ghidorah is an interesting one, and this is the one matchup where part of me is like, okay, maybe, just maybe, you can use the beam steal. And the reason for that is if you get the beam steal and you throw them out, and maybe you could use one of your moves to knock them in the air really, or something like that, right? It can give you enough time to shoot the beam sometimes. Not always. You have to understand, okay, maybe he'll heal a little bit of it, possibly, but he's going to be taking more than what he would heal in that scenario, if he can even heal a little bit. So this is one matchup where that actually is a fairly usable option because of how weak he is to his own beam. But you have to know what to do. Other than that, Megaguirus, the neutral is pretty on even turf, I would say. Mecha King Ghidorah can camp a little bit better than Megaguirus. And also, he has the tasers, which is pretty good. So I think I'm going to put this one in good. Yeah, I'm going to put both of the Ghidorahs in good, because I think the Mecha King Ghidorah does better against Megaguirus, though, but I do think, I think I'm going to put that still as a winning matchup for Megaguirus. So now we have, I would say, our first bad, and that is Mechagodzilla 2. So the reason why Mechagodzilla 2 isn't bad is mainly just because of 2 things, mainly. And, well, a couple other things, but one thing that I think I forgot to mention is for heavier characters in the game, the combos do change. For an instance, against Mecha King Ghidorah 2, the punches, like the down punch, he will get hit by both of them. And then you could just do the forward kick, and then that's kind of the only combo you get. So like against heavier characters, her combo game is also a lot smaller, and it does a lot less damage. So Kiryu does, of course, can take advantage of that, but he's just pretty bad, so she's taking advantage of that, so that's still a good matchup. But for Mecha King Ghidorah, yeah, that is a bit iffy. He has that, so that's a good advantage for him. But also he has his chest laser, so that is some range, and Megaguirus doesn't like that range, and he can keep her out a little bit better than other characters can. But again, she can still get some good damage on her, and it's not a horrendous matchup, so that's why I'm going to put it here. It's not terrible, and it's definitely doable, but I do have to put in that losing. So definitely an interesting little bit of a check for Megaguirus. Mechagodzilla 2, really one of the only lower tier characters that can really beat her. So Megalon, yeah, okay, so she used a lot of her what's it called, poke attacks, or the sharp, you know what I'm talking about. So Megalon is of course weak to blunt, not the sharp attack. So, Megaguirus can't abuse it as much as other characters. However, it is kind of hard for Megaguirus to be hit by the Napalm Bomb if the Megaguirus knows what she's doing because of how fast she is. And she can still get on Megaguirus very easily. So I think it's definitely not the worst matchup for Megalon, so I'm going to put in good as well. Yeah, not much else to say there. Mogira, absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible for Megaguirus. Here's the thing is, Mogira is one of the two zoners in the game. Well, or at least he can play a zoner, and he can do it very well, and that punishes Megaguirus a lot. He's way faster than Megaguirus, and that punishes Megaguirus a lot, because then it makes it where she can't really punish him in like any way, shape, or form. And even when she does, it's just her one combo. But that's even hard for her to catch up with him. And also he has the thing where, like Megaguirus, he just kind of gets up and runs away, so he doesn't even roll. So even when she does get that very hard to hit, she doesn't get much off that, as much as she would with other characters. So it's just absolutely a horrible matchup for her. So yeah, I have to put it here. Mothra. I'm going to be honest, this matchup is kind of a little bit of an enigma to me, and I think I would have to think about it a little bit more. But I think for as I stand on it, I think Megaguirus definitely defeats the larva. Even though, it does have good combos I've seen and everything else, again, it is fairly slow unless it's doing one of those moves. So she can kind of outmaneuver the larva a little bit. And then when it comes to the adult form, it's weird, but Megaguirus just kind of out-characters her, in my opinion. So I think I'm going to put it in good. I don't think it's a terrible matchup for Mothra, but I think it's still losing. Alright, Orga, I'm also going to put in good. So Orga, he relies on getting in. But he's very good at that. But he is still a bit slower, and he's a grappler, so it is a little bit harder for him to get the grabs on Megaguirus unless he hits the spit. But here's the thing. If the Megaguirus has good spacing in neutral, she can stay out of the spit's range. She can try and, say, hey, you could spit me, but you really can't. So she can threaten, he can reacts with the spit, misses, she can attack. That's kind of how this matchup goes a lot. It's really just staying out of that spit range and then trying to tease them with the idea of hitting it. And then when she does get in, he's one of the characters that it's a lot easier to keep, getting her grabs just because of how slow his get-up attack is, as I showed earlier. He is heavier though, so her combos won't do as much damage. And, the combo route's a little bit different again, like I said, because I forgot to mention earlier. Down punch will get hit twice, and that's just the forward kick, and that's it. You can't do any other extension. It's not like by hitting the second hit. It's basically that combo again. I'm trying to get this in it because I feel bad I forgot it earlier. So, and then, yeah. So that's that matchup, in my opinion. You know, but definitely have to be careful with the grabs, because if you do get in, it can be very punishable. I will say, when you're first starting out with Megaguirus, it's going to seem like a bad matchup. But once you figure it out, it's pretty good. Rodan? Okay. So, Rodan he's interesting. You know, it's really, in my opinion, a lot of Rodan's matchups are how well you can deal with his zoning and how well you can deal with his fierce attacks. So, Megaguirus can deal with his fierce attacks pretty well, and his zoning, not so much. But if, you know, of course, when Rodan is punished, when Megaguirus punishes Rodan, he's going to be taking damage. So, I feel like I have to put it in bad, just because it is pretty hard for Megaguirus. So yeah, two lower tier-ish, two mid-tier characters are a bad matchup for Megaguirus, which is kind of interesting. But they're not terrible. Megaguirus can definitely win those matchups. And finally, Space Godzilla. It's obviously terrible. That's a terrible matchup. You know, zoner alert. Very easy. And just grab Megaguirus a lot. The one thing Megaguirus does have is, of course, she takes energy. Space Godzilla needs energy, but it's so easy for him to get it back. So, yeah, it's a pretty bad matchup. But I would say that either Megaguirus or Space Godzilla are her worst matchup. Destroys a little bit better, but not enough to be here. But yeah, so that's where I would put that. So this is the matchup chart. Let me know what you think about this. Yeah, so let me know. Hey, so that's the end of the guide. I hope you all enjoyed and that this helps you with whatever your endeavor is on using this for. So, well, have a good rest of your day, and if you liked the video, you know, you could like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, you know, you don't have to if you don't want to. I appreciate, you know, everyone just watching the video in general. So, yeah, have a good one, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.